Hey friends, welcome to my channel. My name is Lynn, and you know how I love me a good card front panel, right? So today I'm going to be crafting with, this is the sampler pack that comes in the Not Too Shabby box of the month. So you get like a couple few sheets of different designs, I think four, and then you get one sheet of sentiments. And it's really nice, these little samplers, because then I kind of feel like, as much as I love a good card front, that I don't have a ton of extras, but I have a nice little variety to craft with. And so it's really great. And then, if you find that yourself really loving them, then you can buy a full pack. And in particular, I imagine if you make cards to sell, it's must be really nice to be crafting with these card front panels, because you don't need that much um, to make a beautiful card. Just basically put a sentiment onto your card. However, I wanted to do something a little bit different to maybe elevate just your standard card front panel. And I got this over at Black Friday. It's the We Are Makers Puzzle Piece Punch. Say that three times fast. And I've sort of, tried it just on some scrap paper, and it's kind of neat. So basically what you do is you push it in here, but there's two edges, the left edge and the top edge, where like they're sort of stoppers. And so what you do is you continuously punch, but you're always pushing your card front against that left and top edge. And then that's how you can align these puzzle pieces so that they fit back in with each other. And every piece is going to be the same shape, so it's not like a regular standard puzzle where that's a little bit of a hint if you've got something in the right place or not. The fact that usually a standard puzzle has different shapes, and so this is a little bit different, but it is kind of cool because it's still going to give us that look or that effect of this card front panel being like a little jigsaw puzzle that was just kind of rearranged, put back together. So you can have a lot of fun with this, because you can always like put everything back together perfectly, or you can have fun with maybe taking a puzzle piece out, and using that negative space for, say, like a sentiment or something. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna punch all of the pieces, and I am keeping track of where they go so that I can so that I don't have to spend, an extra hour actually reassembling this puzzle. So I'm keeping track as I go so that it's all in the same order. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to glue all of the pieces back in. But I am going to, for a couple few of the pieces, I'm going to maybe put a layer of cardstock below it, and that will give it some lift. And so it'll just make it kind of seem, it'll almost be like an eclipse card. Not exactly, but it's sort of similar. Now, when it gets to this last row, I only have the one card front panel that is in this design in the sampler pack, so I didn't want to mess it up. And I decided I'm not going to actually punch the bottommost row, because I want it to have that nice straight edge at the bottom. And I was worried that if I punched it, it would look like, instead of that straight edge, it'll look like that, where it's got the little sort of nubs or of the puzzle piece. So I'm going to leave that intact, and I don't think it's going to be too noticeable that's the case. And then I'm going to punch out some extra pieces. And these extra pieces will be what I use to give a little bit of lift and also create a little bit of shadow. So I'll start to glue this back in, and then you'll sort of see what I mean. Now it's nice that this bottommost row is all one piece and totally intact. So that's going to be the first piece that I put down. And I'm actually glad that I didn't punch it, because one, I think it will look better, but two, it also makes starting this whole process a lot easier, because I've got a complete first row. So as long as I get this adhered down nice and straight, and I'm just looking for equal borders left, bottom, and right, then as I fit in the rest of the puzzle pieces, it should all line up and look good. Fingers crossed. So I've got I was actually thinking I would use liquid adhesive for each piece, but this is a card front panel after all. So, and I am using all of the pieces. So I just went ahead and put lines of adhesive tape all over, and then I can just put these puzzle pieces back in. And do you see how I just left this gray piece? So I'm going to put a little bit of liquid adhesive, and the piece that goes there from the actual card front panel, I'm going to layer that on top, but I'm actually going to like offset it a little bit so that it looks like that gray piece is a little bit of a drop shadow. And I think that way it's a little bit more obvious that that piece is actually lifted. Now, if you wanted, you could maybe punch out 2, 3, 4 layers and just stack them so that it's nice, and it's a nice thick sort of layer, and then you would see that shadow. There's another way to sort of create a shadow that's real, because there's a lot of lift there. But I don't want to add too much dimension to this, and so just, the one extra layer of cardstock, and then the original card front piece that should go there. And I think creating like a little bit of a faux drop shadow has the same effect, but you're using less paper, it's a little bit less weight ultimately, and I think it looks just as effective. And so I'm going to continue to put these puzzle pieces back in. And the only thing that I'm kind of taking into consideration is when I'm trying to sort of stagger which piece gets elevated, so that I don't have, two pieces directly on top of one another that have that effect. So that's really the only thing that I'm thinking of as I'm doing this. Now, if you were to say remove a couple of puzzle pieces, and then kind of use that negative space for, say, like a sentiment, or just to leave it empty, you might want to be a little bit more selective. So like in a scene like this, I probably would not want to remove anything that was part of like the chicken, especially his or the rooster's like head, because I think you would want to be able to see that in full. So if you were gonna remove pieces altogether, I would remove parts of the scene that are inconsequential, and so you can create some really fun looks, some really fun effects. I'm gonna do this more because it's really, I think it's kind of cool, and you could do this with like an inky background that you create, or I don't think I would do this to something that I've colored in, because I'm such a slow colorist. I don't even think I could bring myself to punch through like a colored scene, for example. But like an inky background or something like that would be kind of fun with this technique. But I think card front panels lend themselves really well to a technique like this, because it's just like another interesting way to use a card front panel that is going like 1 or 2 extra steps beyond just gluing the panel and then putting a sentiment on it. But then effectively, at the end of the day, that's almost all all we have here. It is just still the card front with a sentiment. And I used Teresa's One and Done to cut out the sentiment. But when you look at it more closely, there's just like a little bit of extra interest there because of that puzzle piece effect, and it's kind of fun to do. So I really like how this turned out. I know this is like a little bit of a specialized gadget, but it's fun. And crafting should be fun. So I'll leave links to everything in the description box below. I do know that Jamie opened up new subscription spots. I don't know if they're still available, but I'll leave links to the Not Too Shabby subscription box if you want to sign up to receive it on a monthly basis. Thanks so much for catching my video today, and until next time, happy crafting and have a fabulous day. Bye.